believe it or not, late again because of Mark.
Yep.
If people didn't know, they would not be surprised. Everyone knows. We got to start changing this, Mark. You got to be on time because today we have a jam-packed show. All right.
Well, I'm on. That's
We're
me. It's about me.
Show's not about you today.
It's not?
No.
What the heck?
We got lots to talk about.
Yep.
Firstly, our post regarding tracks. The first show's tomorrow night, same time, 8 o'clock. So tune into that. I think it's going to be huge. We're going to go live on Facebook for the first time. We haven't done it, so I hope everything works smoothly from a tech side of things. But we got 8 fabulous track owners coming on. You can check out our post to see who's coming on, but a lot of track owners. We have a part 2 of that next week because I've had probably 30 track owners reach out wanting to come on, which is amazing. So I want to give everyone a fair shot. So it's going to have to be a couple of shows. It's been a lot. Shows from guys from all over, Canada, States, South America, Europe.
Is somebody Australia,
Ecuador today. Someone reached out track-wise. So we'll work through all that. But tomorrow night's the first show. We got 8 guys coming on. Welcome, Kraken.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Nate the Great, legendary sweater. I think only 4 made. 4 sweaters made. $100 you can have it off my back today. But I don't want to hold this individual up. Our guest tonight is one of the most recognizable names in RC racing. He's won major events across multiple classes and built one of the most reputable in electric racing. And turn that experience to Excelerate RC. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Josh Cyrul.
Hey, we're going around again.
Josh, how are you, my friend?
Busy, good but busy. Trying to use the little bit of downtime we have in between on-road season and get as much stuff done as fast as my old slow rear moves, as possible. So
part of that's coming on this fabulous show and talking to us 2 idiots.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Lots to talk about tonight, and let's not waste any time because we have so much to talk about. Prior to the show, we talked a little bit. You saw our post regarding tracks. We have our first show coming tomorrow night with those guys.
Yep.
Sadly, I didn't want to have you back to back, so I'll get kind of your taste on that stuff tonight.
No problem.
And that, Mark loved your post that you posted about RC1. Sadly, closing
yeah,
up.
I mean, unfortunately, I when I was gone, from my 7 or so year break, RC1 had opened and was, I guess, a dirt track originally, and then transitioned to a carpet track. My kids were still playing a lot of hockey, so I really wasn't up there much. I stopped up there for the first time because we were at a hockey tournament right around the corner from RC1 last year, and it just happened to be the same weekend as the INS race. So I stopped in, said hi to everybody, checked it out. I was like, oh, okay. And, kind of circled back around a year, and I actually ran the race this year and, had a lot of fun. It was a great place. I wish I had a chance to go out there and run more. But I talked to, the track owner there, Mr. Hemenick, a bit, and just hearing how honestly, like, I have no idea how he was in business as long as he was. Like, the overhead there was astronomical. And then hearing that the landlord had wanted to put a 30% raise on it, which just tells me that, they had possibly other tenants that, that landlord wanted to get in there that were willing to pay that. And so it was just a pay it or get out type of thing. So, but, I always look at it, and like I kind of mentioned just a few minutes ago, like, being outside of RC, I think, was very healthy for me there for that good break of time. Being inside of the large automotive companies and that. And I do think that that's one thing that the racing or the racer community needs to understand. And that was kind of what my post was about the other day that I made was, like, everything's changed. But if you try and raise an entry fee for a club race or a practice day or anything, everybody kind of flips out that it's too expensive. Where, you just look at, say, like when I had my track or was racing in the mid 90s, you're talking, a $15 race day should be a $32 race day now. or you go to, you go to do mini golf, regular golf, go-karts, like
And-
anything you do is astronomically more expensive. And to expect track owners to not charge more because they're supposed to, not be ripping off the racer type of thing. I would think over the last 30, 40 years, the amount of good people and good shops that have kind of been run into the ground by just, it's just the square footage required for a good track versus the profit margin. And, even more so now, which you're not going to change the racer base. It's going to go for the cheaper stuff, especially in an Amazon and Walmart society now. And then you have, the manufacturers that are kind of, and what I don't think some of the hobby shop owners realize is like, even from our standpoint from Accelerate, like we have to sponsor guys for local representation and local support. It's really hard to support 30, 40 guys at every single track. But if you can support one or two guys, with a good voice and that are good representatives of a brand, it really helps you sell a lot more product. So you have to do it. Like, and nationally that ends up being a lot of people. So so the track owners and that kind of like, Mike was kind of alluding to, was that, the contract customers or sponsored guys are really hurting the shops. That's not going to change. That's not going to go away. You're not going to get every single manufacturer in the industry to agree we're not going to do that anymore. Because right now, that's how they market. That's how they get all their hashtags on Facebook, and that's in all the drivers' contracts. Like that,
Right.
that's a mandatory thing.
That's right, Josh.
That helps.
That is right. You need right. And I just like the old school days, like you said. Say you had one or two guys at each track, right? And you do need that. Every company does to represent that great guy.
Now the problem is
the problem I find in the hobby now is that, say brand whatever, knowing that they sponsor that guy at that local track. Well, that guy is, instead of getting one motor, is getting 8 or 9 and selling 8 to his buddy. The problem I see is that company is not stopping him from buying because they just make it as it's 8, 9 motors sold. They really don't care. That's the issue I see, and that's the issue I try to get the point across. Not about sponsoring guys at club levels or whatever, because yes, you do need those guys. It's just I wish the companies would know that the guy doesn't need 8 kits.
Right. And that's on the. I mean, I've already had that a little bit with one of our drivers. Where I notice there's a lot of new cars, and I'm probably the worst guy in the world ever since I was a kid because I grew up without a lot of money. Like I run cars to death. Like I swap parts and it's the same car. But when you start seeing multiple car kits going every few months, it's what are you doing? Where are these going?
And that's, I mean, you asked that questions, but most companies just count it as cars gone.
And to be honest, we're small enough to where I'm going to see that and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to notice
you're asking.
where some place like Associated, for example, I mean, they're so massive and they have so many drivers all around the world. I don't think they're going to pay as much attention to that. Their drivers are more set up with budgets and that type of thing to where, again, I think in an instance like RC1, that was primarily an off-road facility. Those companies are big enough to where, there's probably not much oversight on the amount of stuff that guys are tearing through and what they're doing with it. So I do agree to a point with the driver stuff, but I still believe that at the end of the day, the square footage is the square footage. So if you got a hobby shop, you got to have a good online presence to help move product, but the track itself has to pay for the square footage, or at least contribute 75% to the tally of it. That was one of the things I tried to maintain with my track. So my track, to give you an idea, was about 10,000 square foot. Our overhead total, water, sewer, gas, electric, blah, 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 was at the cheapest about $7,200 a month. At the most was about $9,200, $9,600. We had a couple really frozen, chilly winters. They were like 06 was like -20 for like 2-3 weeks. So our heating bill was through the roof. And of course I had to fight with the guys who were breaking off my thermostat lock boxes in the back because they wanted it 75 degrees in there so the track had grip to test for snowbirds or something like that coming up. But the big thing is at that time we had on average about 635 entries through the track per month for the entire year. So if you did the math on that, even at $10 a practice day, $15 a race day, $20 if you're running 2 classes is what we charged. The track was paying for itself. So the hobby shop was paying for itself and the employees to work up there, et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't, by no means was it making a pile of money, but it was at least sustaining itself to where, it wasn't a bad deal. And I had a lot of guys push back on me about raising, my entries need to be cheaper. I handed them a $2,600 heating bill for that month of February in 06. And I'm like, here, you want to pay this then? How much is your $10 or, a month worth, to me right now? Like, and that's one of the things that I think racers don't realize is, again, with inflation, the cost of everything, even when you do go to, say you go to a go-kart place, you rent your cart, you drive around, you do your thing. Most of the time you're not in there for 10, 12 hours a day. You're not using restrooms and, all the things that you need in there, plus the electricity, plus the pit space. It's just, there's a lot of additional costs that pile on that you end up spending as a track owner. And I really do feel that, and by the way, any track wants to do this when I come up, I will gladly pay whatever your entry fee is double. So if I come to a club race and it's $20 to race, I'll pay 40. I'll say it right here and now. I went up for the practice day, even at RC1, and Mike tried offering me a don't worry about it. I'm like, no, I'm paying because the tracks need that money. The square footage is the biggest loss that the tracks have to try and recoup. And number one, you either have to have a packed house with racers, or they're gonna have to raise the fees. And tracks should not, in my opinion, you shouldn't feel bad about it. Like, you have to afford it. You have to make money. You have to be able to cover your bills. And it's the unfortunate thing. I know a lot of the guys do it for the passion of it, but I'll be honest, my track bankrupted me, but the money I owed was still a lot of people in the industry. So I didn't do bankruptcy. I just worked 3-4 jobs and, basically 100+ hours a week until I could pay everybody back. That's why I look so old at, 48 years old versus seeing some of these off-road guys I'll sit next to running 40+. And I'm like, how are you guys even 40? Like, then I'm finding out they're older than me. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done to myself? So, but that's one of the things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the
Later. Yeah.
Nate always says this.
You got $1,000 touring cars, $1,800 or $1,080 touring cars and then you got to buy all these chassis and all this other stuff. And I'm like, and guys got 2, 3, 4 of them.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got
yeah.
2-3 cars on their table.
No, like,
There's very
no
few
sense.
there's very
pay
few
your
guys that
track
have one car.
like, pay your track more. I can tell you right now, I was supposed to have more of my shop done here and bring in some people from that the realtor wanted to introduce me to for business development. Because they had looked me up. They saw the picture I have here on the wall from my Roar Nationals that I hosted at CFEX there. And there's a lot of empty buildings around here. And they were asking me about, what's this all about? And could you do something like this again? I said, yeah, I could. I said, but the problem is the overhead is just going to be way, way too high. So they talked about some other things. And this is why I made the comment on my post that was kind of buried inside of my post. It was a reply to somebody about what would I do differently, with going to the local government for economic development and things like that, or economic impact study, because they'll give you grants and money if you're going to bring that many people into the community that are going to spend money at local businesses. That's tax revenue for them. So, there's a lot of different things you can do with that, but like, I think it's really important that the racers understand that this stuff costs money. So when I was going around here and looking at buildings and everything, I honestly was looking at a place big enough that I could do a track. I tried pinging guys about, doing, like the paid pit spots or paid pit rooms type of things. and kind of doing it like a group. And I said, here's what I was going to spend for my office here. I'll contribute that much to it. I just want the same amount of area there for my printers and my office, and the rest of it we'll do all track. Track in a shop area. That's too expensive. Here. And I did the math and like laid it out for the guys. Like, you guys are spending more traveling all over the place. I said, now if you want the freedom, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, what you're spending on average is way more. And you can have a key and 24/7 access, 365, So again, it's just, racers need to recalibrate. You can't give tracks $10-15 and expect them to be around, because the average life cycle of a hobby shop or a racetrack owner is 5 years.
Yep.
Because that's literally, it's like the mental breaking point. Also, it's the point at which most people basically run out of savings to keep it alive.
And usually it's a 5 year. Usually it's a 5-year lease you sign, so you're trying to just get through that lease. Maxie, that's what I told you before. Well, even before you were born there, young fellow, right? When Steve went through his shop on Highway 20 and all the racing was at its peak, early 90s, it was just stupid. This place should have survived. We went to everywhere from Georgia to Florida, North Dakota, everywhere. And he brought everything back. He made a permanent place, indoor, outside, dirt oval, you name it. It had it, full hobby shop out front. And yes, it did the 3, 4, whatever the hell the lease was, 5 years. Did not survive. I told you, buddy, Max, you would have loved it back then. A club race on a Wednesday night had 70-something people showing up every club race. And what happened? He opened up the place. We thought it's going to be a kick-ass. Everyone's going to come. The club per se, state wanted to keep running in behind this guy's furniture shop. It split everybody down the middle. And the place right away, you thought you're going to have 70, has 30-something. And then what happened in racing, I don't care what, I argue all the time. Josh might even say I'm right or wrong. I really don't care. But what happens is the bottom guys all stayed at the other place, became main drivers. The bottom guys that came to Steve's permanent place, after a while stayed in the bottom, went back to the club racing club track, whatever you want to call it, because they were on the top guys now. And it just weeded out. And sure enough, instead of having 30-something guys, it became 20, 15 of the fast guys per se. Yep. And as soon as that track got known as only the fast guys run there, only the good guys run there, it just kills it every time, bro. There, my man's hands up.
Welcome to CFX Raceway.
Yep. And instead of
I tried so many races to like separate the guys, but make it like team events. So like you'd take like Dave Johnson and pair him with another guy, and some of these other guys that were really good, and pair them with some of these lesser guys, thinking that they would help them or they would kind of work together. And a few of the guys did it, and they tried to help them out so that they both got points. But for the most part, it was like, oh crap, I got no chance tonight. I ain't gonna get nothing for points. I'm paired with so and so, and it was like,
but it's just for
it actually made it worse because they all resented each other worse and were more pissed at each other. So I'm like, all right, this was a total fail. I'm never doing this again. So it was like, all right, we'll try and do some other, fun races. Like it's weird. It's almost like a track and a group of guys get to a level where they start going to a lot of the big races, and it gets really, really kind of weird and evil. Like it's just everybody starts taking it way too serious and forgets that, everybody's in very different skill levels, in this. And it's not, you're not supposed to, the local racing is not supposed to matter. Like it's supposed to matter for the guys that are racing local, but you're supposed to help those guys at those races and have fun and help everybody progress and learn. The problem is everybody's worried about their Facebook posts or worried about their, that little bit of clout if they beat so-and-so at a club race. And it makes the club races turning into where you see guys putting on new, for some of the classes that require new tires. I will never run new tires on 12 scale cars at club races. I run the tires, even I got boxed, even when I ran for Trinity, I was running all leftover stuff. I would never run that stuff because it didn't matter. I needed to be working on other things that I was doing, not trying to put 2 laps down on the guys that, that they're not going to have a whole box of tires. So it's just there's a lot of stuff that I don't understand that's changed in the mentality, and it's one of the reasons why I actually have trouble going club racing nowadays. Because if I do go, I'm not even done carrying my stuff out of the building, and I'm getting blown. Hey, it looks like so and so kicked your ass today. I was here testing all day. I didn't even whatever. So it's a lot of times I don't even like going because, if you go to learn and just test, I mean, the equipment now is so good. It's not like back in the day where, someone like me, no matter what, I was going to win a club race just because I was pretty good, and you had to drive a certain way to be able to make run time. It's not like that anymore. If your car sucks, and you're going to get smoked. Like it's pretty simple. So it's just kind of, it's all changed so much. And I really think there needs to be more emphasis from the fast local guys at tracks to helping the rest of the track progress.
Yes. Max is very good at that. I'll give Max a lot of credit. Max is very good at helping everybody. I've seen Max miss his own sort of heats. And back to bringing up some drivers, my good friend Patty, who loves your equipment, Josh, loves your equipment, loves that you answer him all the time. So my buddy Patty loves you. But he actually said it for years. When we had the outlaw track at the mall, Patty would be there all the time, finishing dead last. Right. And other places and other guys that run and other stuff used to tell him all the time, Patty, how do you go there and finish last all the time? Come race over here. It's more your level and all this. Patty goes, I'd rather finish last with these guys. They're teaching me so much and everything else. And now years later, when we get together,
Patty's fast.
He's smashing those guys. And those guys, how'd you get so fast? Patty goes, I told you, I was hanging out with those guys for 3-4 years. But yes, you're going to be at the bottom. I said, Patty, the difference is there's very few guys like you that are willing to do that for 2-3 years or whatever, be the bottom guy, be lapped all the time. No, everybody wants to be the A main. Everybody wants to feel, I call it important, whatever, do their post on Monday where they finished at a club race.
Right.
But Patty took the time and he goes, no, I came from sports and all this, and there's always somebody better. Yeah. And when we talk about local guys, I always tell everybody, even my own kid, everybody is a big fish in a small pond. Some guy told me that years and years ago. So until you actually go to the champs or you go to some big race and you realize, holy cow, I was in the E main, but at club racing I'm in the A. Yes, because now you came to the big pond.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I know people are probably going to take offense to this, and I really don't mean this to be disrespectful. But from my perspective, it's kind of the reality. If you look at the top U.S. guys, there's what, 3, 4, 5, in 12 scale and touring cars, say modified. You take those guys to a world level event, they're Kemp ran good at the last 12 scale worlds. Touring cars rough sometimes depending on the layout or the grip conditions and that.
Sam made the A at that last one, car 9 or something, in Cali. But you're right, when the Europeans, there's always somebody better, bro.
Yeah. And when I kind of look at the level of the U.S. now, I think even that thing, I showed up to you guys as Canadian Nats on Saturday morning. I ran 2 minutes of practice and I TQ'd that and should have TQ'd F1, but got bounced around a little bit, but that shouldn't happen. I could never have done that back in the day. And I can tell you right now, I'm nowhere near as good as I used to be. So it also bothers me some what the attitudes of some of the guys take, because I feel that overall the level is slipped in the U.S.
Yep.
U.S. and Canada.
Big time.
And that's one of the things that always kind of ate at me is, I went to a lot of IFMAR worlds. I made 13 worlds A finals. I didn't even care. I rooted for Ralph and I rooted for Lemieux and I rooted for Barry Baker, even when I was racing against them, because I knew that if one of those guys won a world championship, it raised the value of the top level US guys on a world level, which, it sounds weird, but in the end, being a pro at that time, it would have just made us all more money. because then, oh, okay, these guys are actually good. They're worth more. Well, you go to a world and you just get bludgeoned time after time by the Europeans, or at that time, when I was going, a lot was a lot from
Asians.
Japan.
Yeah.
It just kind of, oh, you guys aren't that good anyway, whatever. So it makes it really hard to like stay involved in especially the on-road side and be able to make money in it. And that's one of the things that I've always kind of pushed that I don't think a lot of those guys understood. Like, I want a, North American guy, American, Canadian, with the bear that I just want one of us to win. And I don't think everybody really ever took me seriously by that, because I don't think they ever looked at it the way I was looking at it from from a life and a monetary thing. Like, rising tide lifts all boats. A U.S. guy wins the worlds, or Lemieux would have, or Bear would have. That just kind of put more emphasis on any of us that were competitive.
But you're right, Josh. Look, the 1/8 buggy, right?
Yeah,
Americans. I'm sure how many Americans have won a worlds? Quite a few. Like, there has been some.
Yeah,
and
you're now
right. When the Americans
they're kind of getting bludgeoned by the Italians, Ungaro and those guys, and Canas. They're amazing. But again, the U.S. guys, we have a very big habit in the U.S. of really racing each other to the death and not working together. I'll give you a prime example. For a while, the TITC track. There was a while there where Andy Moore, Yillis, Hara, there was a whole bunch of them that basically went there and lived there for 6 months' time. And it was like every hour those guys raced together. And in between that hour mark, you could run and whatever. But every hour on the hour for weeks, those guys raced. Heads up grid, line them up on the straightaway, and they all ran. So they beat the crap out of each other for months. And the next time we raced them, it wasn't even close. They destroyed us because they kind of set egos aside and just worked. You can't, no one really does that like those guys did. And since then, I don't, the North American guys have never caught up because we always race against each other really hard. It's very, very clicky in that regard. So, and even now, everybody was nice to me when I came back, and now that we're doing pretty good and gaining some momentum and the cars are getting better, all of a sudden, we saw some of the stuff before the Canadian dance, knives are out, and, guys aren't happy that I'm back racing. Brandon's doing well, and, I am looking forward to disappointing them even further this year.
But it's true. Those guys put in so much work. Every time I open Facebook, I see Europeans posting track, Sunday at the track, Saturday at the track.
It's a very,
crazy.
very, very, very different. For the pro guys, they handle it very different than we did over here. And even myself, I would run. I mean, what sounds kind of crazy, but I would run 4 or 5 days a week, and by their standards, I was lazy. By the amount that they were running and what they would do, when I would go over there to test for races with them and that, they just flat out outworked me. So you put in that much effort and that many laps, you're gonna exceed. And then you put them together with a group of guys that, will actually work together. Mm-hmm. Good luck. It's definitely tough. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been races where they've come over here and Kevin or Sam or Kemp, have beat them in that. Man, it's way harder when you're pushing a rock by yourself, or with only 1 or 2 guys versus what those guys do. So, so that's one of the reasons why I feel so far ahead. We can run with them on our style of tracks, and they're competitive here, but we go over there and
they come over for 3 days and are half a tenth off the pace, right?
Yeah.
So,
or Alex will win, or because he's got some experience coming over here, he knows what to expect. But I mean, they're super impressive. So that's also where you've asked me about making a touring car and that.
Yeah,
and that's one of those I want to. However, the commitment to that is just, number one, massive. Number two, it still breaks me.
I know
It
you.
still breaks me to make a touring car that expensive. I can't do it.
No,
Like
but
I have to make.
I also know you,
something
Josh.
else.
It would have to look different too. I know you. It's not going to look like every
Well,
car.
but
except a couple.
I've had a lot of people tell me like, hey, just take this car, this suspension setup and shocks, or copy this shocks, this car, and this drivetrain, and your money. I don't want to do that though, because it's still, when you look at it at the end of the day, it's $1,000 touring car.
Yeah.
What if I can break that? What if I can make one that costs half that and runs with those or beats those? That to me is 1,000 times more valuable. So I would rather, and you're not keeping me here late. Like my wife laughs about it. I'm here usually 7, anywhere. Well, depending on if I have morning meetings or some of the other stuff I do, I'm here anywhere from 6 to 8 a.m. And I'm here usually till 8, 9, sometimes 10 o'clock at night. So I'm working on a lot of things all at once, but like I want to do one, but I want to do one in a manner that is affordable. And I just can't. I just don't look at touring car today. Again, I started with that thing, the street weapon, and TC3s, $330 for a kit, and you ran them out of the kit pretty much. Maybe some titanium, tie rods and aluminum screws or something back at that time, but that's how we raced them. Like I've gone a few times to buy a touring car and went, no, no, that's too much. I got other stuff. I'd rather buy another 3D printer or something else now. It doesn't make sense to me. They're just too expensive.
Just some people watching. Got Bryce in the comments. He's probably at Oval. What's up, Tim? How's it going? Lucy, you have a track we split regular.
No, he bought a Sea-Doo, Max. He's out on a Sea-Doo. Can you imagine that? My kid's out on a Sea-Doo.
Oh
right
boy.
I don't even want to see that.
Me neither.
What's going on, everybody? Tim, Orca, new sponsor. Yes, sir. Rock, third year and loving this. Wish I got into racing earlier. Love KY, local racing in New Jersey. And good to have you back racing. Showtime's Dogs Pissed. Wouldn't you be laying beside Showtime?
French Toast is mad. You need to go inside.
Yeah. So have you started the touring car thought process, though? Like, have you sketched anything up?
I mean, my computer's got a lot of touring cars already drawn. I mean, I'll be honest, the Prodigy 12 scale car was partially drawn in like 1998. I have a lot drawn. The problem is with some of my stuff that I learned also with CFAX and other cars and other things that I did, it's always very difficult to take too big of a step because there's always a knee-jerk reaction of, you're an idiot, that sucks. Well, you haven't even seen it run or know what it is. Yeah, but you're an idiot and that sucks. Okay. So it makes it a lot harder. So, that's, some of the people, commented that our 12 scale car, we just copied Osmatics. No, we used a few fundamental things that, to be honest, were, old stuff that has been around since the 70s. Obviously, a sliding kingpin front end, that's 12i, 12e, whatever. It's been around since the dawn of RC. And, just did it in a manner to where, okay, if we make some parts and they don't work or things are wrong or different, guys can use Osmatic stuff or guys can use CRC stuff or another brand and the car will still work. The rear end and everything was way different than what people thought. But, that, to be honest, was also a test, one of being a way better test than I expected. Cars have been pretty good. But also a lot of learning, with a few years away, the carpet, a lot of things being different coming back, so now it's just continuing to evolve on that and, see what's in the computer that's already drawn that, would it be applicable to today's times? And that was the problem, is a lot of the stuff I drew a long time ago, I wasn't allowed to make. The companies that I raced for, if you would have showed them machine battery tray the way that we're doing them now, they would have told you, get out of here. You're nuts. We're not making that. That's too expensive. But, that is one thing that Osmatics did, is they broke the mold on that to where it let a lot of other stuff. And for me personally, it's awesome because it let a lot of stuff that I've had drawn for years. I can open it up and, massage it into what's needed for today, and voila. So there's already a lot there. There's a lot already drawn of touring cars. I think I have in total, I have 9 different ones already drawn, and I really haven't even worked on anything yet. So
damn. And knowing you, there are 9 different designs. There's 9 different.
Yeah, they're all very, very different. They're all very, very different. So, and I think people forget too. I ran for Osmatics for a while. I had Kelso stop by. Kelso's like, "Hey, can you draw me this hub carrier?" Yeah, okay. So he, or spindle, whatever it is, he brings it and shows me the part, and I measure it. Well, everybody forgets I ran for Osmatics. And I was cracking up laughing. I'm like, "Oh, that's one I drew for Oleg back in whatever that was, 2012 or 13. I'm like, "Oh, I drew this anyway. I got the model right here." And I sent it over to James Riley, and I think he beefed it up, and they 3D printed some or something because they wanted to try plastic. There's stuff like that people don't even realize. I have a whole folder of Osmatic stuff that I drew for Oleg and sent him, a long time ago. So, I've kind of been around a lot of it and drawn a lot of stuff that people don't even realize I've drawn for people or companies. So, and to be honest, with firing back up into the 3D printing stuff here, it's been awesome because now I have a lot of people with the vintage stuff. They've seen some of the stuff we made, "Hey, can you make some of this stuff? Can we actually run it?" Yeah, actually, we got some new materials that might be pretty good. At least we can make some dialed shelf queens, and they're not going to be as durable as a normal car. You're not going to put today's brushless systems in them and run and, have them hold up. They'll probably break in a few runs, but if you're running old school stuff in them, yeah, they'll hold up. So I have actually a couple really fun projects coming. Some kind of remakes of some, I think, 80s, late 80s, early 90s stuff. Just waiting for some boxes to arrive. And I've done some slack car controllers for people, printed them and helped with some of this stuff. So, just getting to do a little bit of that sort of stuff to kind of break up my day and have some fun too. So just kind of working on drawing and doing all kinds of different stuff. So.
Tim Potter, F1 for life.
Yeah. Yeah, all the guys are nice.
Hopefully it was an accelerating car. Hey, John. Sir John Wolf in the house.
Yeah, it was actually really cool to see too. That was one of the things that's been nice to see is obviously the car I was the most excited about drawing this last year was the F1. I really put a lot of time and effort into that. And seeing, the tires work pretty well and the cars work pretty well, I think overall we've seen a huge growth at F1, at all the races. I think even, 360 V2, Donnie's track, I think they're going to probably add it for the New York Grand Prix this year because the entries there have grown so much for it. Seeing a lot of tracks when you just look online that didn't have F1 before have got, 14, 16, 18 guys running. So that's been really cool to see too. But that's also the important part is, like I said, coming back, I've kind of realized, okay, it's fine to make stuff that's so, that's really fast and, runs well, but there has to be a way to get there to where, everybody else can drive it and enjoy it and not just, unfortunately, the touring car body stuff that I think that's kind of sideways. I think, you have to do it in a manner that's actually going to grow the class, not just make it more ridiculous type of thing. So,
do you think we have one guy? I'm sure Jimmy. He always talks about how he wants to make his own touring car, and he's big into 3D printing like yourself. Do you think eventually down the road we'll see cars being completely 3D printed? Is that something you've thought about?
I think stuff. You can do a lot of that stuff. You can do a lot with it. It's just all depends on materials. and having a wide enough range of material database to be able to make the various parts. Like I have certain parts I can make, I can make some shafts and things with that are pretty decent if they're well supported and they're not going to flex. They're really, really hard. But the problem is you get any flex in them, they're kind of like crystal. They'll explode. So actually, one of the things that I've been working on, people have seen me for a while now, is all my 3D printed tools and all that kind of stuff. And again, I work with a couple companies making all the resin and testing a lot of stuff on that. And we keep getting stuff better and better, but it's still really hard to match the potential of injection molded or machined aluminum or steel parts. So there are ways to kind of trick some of it, and like I have our tools that I am releasing up on our website and all that stuff now, that I kind of cheated and just put it like an aluminum hex insert in to be able to support the tip so I can get them to tighten. Because one of the problems is like the resin that we develop now, like you can tighten it. I got it in all these colors. It looks trick. The problem is the material actually relax. So you can tighten it. You can work on your car all day and you leave it sit for a week and you come back the next week and the first screw you go to tighten, there's play. So when you tighten the set screw, it's good for a day or two, repeat the cycle. And so it's just a materials problem. So I think it's one of those things that as the materials continue to improve, more and more possibilities. I mean, I don't know how much you guys watch the off-road stuff. Schumacher guys are all running 3D printed aluminum transmissions in their off-road cars at the last few races here on carpet. So there's possibilities to do some stuff like that. That's really, really trick, because it allows you to do different stuff with the designs and shapes. You don't have to, be constrained by, mold draft and, all the other various things and 50 million fasteners to put cars together. So I think there's a lot of possibilities in it, especially as the technology improves. It's just how fast it gets there and how affordable it is for our industry. I looked at like one of the good 3D metal printers, and there's way too many zeros on the end of it that that's it's not even close to my range right now. So that's a a dream thing type of a thing. But you never know.
Well, you're right. I see, like when Jimmy did that for Ian. Remember, Ian broke the graphite body holder.
Yeah.
Right, and he couldn't find the part. Whatever. Jimmy by next week already had 4 printed for him. He goes, "Yeah, don't back the car into the wall, but at least you're running and the body's holding up now." So
yeah, and I mean it's really wild. I mean, so like that's the other thing I've been doing is like custom fan shrouds and stuff now for our cars. And I'm making them in different shapes and stuff so you can actually like work on airflow a little bit. And like the FDM, like a lot of people print with now, it's pretty good, but you can't be quite as crazy as I am with this stuff. And as the material improves on this, it's just going to allow me to keep pushing things further. So that's kind of where I haven't done as much with like the FDM that you see, pretty much everybody at the track's got FDM 3D printed stuff in their pits now.
Yeah.
That's where I've kind of leaned into this other direction, because I still feel that, once the materials catch up, I can do anything, making stupid X-Acto blades and, make just anything. You're not going to do this in FDM because you're going to push on it and you're going to snap it, because of the layers aren't going to stick together. I've had painter guys reach out to me wanting shorties for painting bodies and stuff. So, we got like super stubbies, and I've just been loading up my website with all kinds of new stuff for printed stuff like that. Just as it's something fun for my family to do when they come in here and bother me. Here's orders. Go change some stuff in some printers and pack these. Leave me alone. Let me sit here and draw. So, but no.
How many things do you have in your pipeline? I mean, you just showed us like 6 new products. Is the list long?
I made this too. It's a tire spinner.
Oh, okay.
Rechargeable.
Yep.
Yeah. just a little fun thing. Like I've kind of restructured my day here. What I've tried to do now. So what I do is I come in the morning. I do design for aerospace for 2 different aerospace companies. So I'll work on those depending on workload of those. From when I get in, usually till about lunchtime. Finish lunch, grab lunch, and then work on some stuff for that, whatever I need to wrap up, pending on meetings or program schedules or anything that I'm behind that I need to do, which sometimes is the whole day, but usually not. I'll spend a few hours on Excelerate stuff, drawing some of that. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm drawing for. I keep messing up which side I'm on. My off-road cars here for my low-C cars. So I have a lot of stuff that I'm working on for that, and a bunch of other cars. That's been the nice part, is going to the INS races, getting a lot of people just randomly, you need to make this. What is it? Well, give me one. Oh, okay, here you go. Oh, okay, yeah, we can make that. Okay. So I've been getting a lot of that stuff. So go to the off-road races. If anybody wants to know, why are you going off-road racing? That's why, because I do feel it's really good to go to the other categories and see what they're doing and learn and see if things can be applied to our side or vice versa. And the crossover there, I feel, is really good. So I actually got yelled at for not going to EA's Hootie race and going to the off-road race, or not going to the nitro race at Dieter's nitro track there.
Yeah.
I've raced lots on road. I go do something else for a bit, but yeah, so just, all the tool stuff, the fan stuff, we made some boosters, some fan shrouds, the tire spinner. Just
There's
lots
all
of
diff in the works for a 12 scale.
There is a ball diff on the way for the F1 car. I think it might even be done. That was a popular request for asphalt, especially with the guys running overseas and that. We're just waiting on differings because of course we didn't make a standard one. We had to make something trick and lighter weight.
Different,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so we're waiting on those. For the guys that are running the gear diffs, I do have sample drawings out for an updated gear diff shafts. I need to check in with Ken on where those are at, because I think everybody will like that. That'll make that a much more viable item, a lot stronger, and hopefully different. It's just the shafts that are changed, but it's just the machining process and the heat treating process with those that should make them run a lot truer and be a lot stronger, to where they'll fit together a little tighter, a little bit less right rear wobble and stuff like that. So those are in process. I don't know if we have a ball diff for the 12 scale in the works yet. I have it drawn. I don't think we've done anything with it. I don't think there's been a lot of requests for it. But yeah, just
I think Simon wants one. There's your first customer.
All right.
There you go.
Actually, I think I got a lot of CPEC ball diffs around here that would probably drop right into it. So I can always throw those up on the old website here or whatever.
Are you a big believer in? There's been a lot of debate. Like I hear, X-Ray obviously comes out with new cars every year, and some brands other do and come with upgrades. Your idea for your business, are you guys going to release new cars constantly, or just upgrades to your current platforms?
Well, we came out with the first car, and we've kind of updated with some newer stuff, some newer parts. For this year, we did the team kit, and then Ken added team kits for the F1 car and that people have requested. I don't like the real fast cadence. Some of the brands are like every year, and they move holes just enough to where bulkheads don't fit and stuff don't fit. So it's a swap over, which I think is horrible for hobby shops and that. Mm-hmm. We've kind of had the mentality of, if the cars are good, you pretty much have to progress. You have to come with something new or a step or an improvement, either durability or performance or, whatever. Otherwise, people kind of get bored with the brand. So I do think that there's a little bit of a requirement to do new stuff. I don't want to do it to the cadence like X-Ray has done, or some of the companies have done. I know Yokomo took some flack back in the day for just being crazy fast with, with stuff. And I do know some of the touring car companies over time, what they'll do is they would place like, so many piece order. And basically when that piece order was up, instead of continuing to support it, they would just release what was next. So that was kind of also where, it really made parts obsolete in that. So one of the things we've talked about with the current cars is that we're going to probably continue with the current kits, with kit sales for those cars, even as much as a year after a new car, and try and keep part support for like 3 years type of a thing. I do think it's really important not to burn the customers out, but if there's a way that we can take a big step forward to make a cost add, a performance add, a value add overall, if there's something that's, that kind of requires like a platform restructuring, then we're going to do that. So we are working on some stuff for this season. I was originally hoping that we would have it for early August release, but I think it's going to end up being just a little bit later because there's a few things I did that everybody else see are more different than I think everybody will look at it and go, it's the same. And then when you look at it, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, what the? And I can honestly say, from like kind of looking back at the history of cars and different things, I don't think it's ever been done. Like, I've drawn a lot of cars and I kind of stumbled onto something by accident and we tested it and it worked really good. And then there's one or two things I didn't like and I wanted to fix. And I think I figured it out. And I think it's going to be incredible for this year.
Can you give us a little hint? Like front of the car, rear of the car, left side, right side? You got to give us something.
Basically, I mean, it's very small tweaks. We're going to try and keep the whole front end as it was. What the graphite will change, bumper forward, all that stuff's the same. But, basically our steering blocks, kingpins, all that kind of stuff. We're pretty happy with where all that stuff's at now. I've even had some guys running other brands that everybody told me was better than our stuff, test our parts in their cars, and no, our stuff's better now. So that was nice to hear. But the rear of the car is, like I said, you would look at it and you'd walk by it in the pits and you'd never even know it's different. But it's just a very unique take on the construction of the car. And from, I don't know if you guys go on RC Tech much. There's a guy that runs for us that's local here, Motor City Hamilton. He's awesome. He's been really, really, really good with supporting, racers online and that. When I'm kind of frazzled and too busy, I haven't been up there much to support guys. But even he stopped in and I kind of walked him through what I was doing, because I respect his opinion and know the things that he's dealt with supporting racers over the last 2 years. And he just, he's like, you've literally fixed every single complaint and made it better. He's like, every single thing and problem we've had is like, you fixed it. Like, I don't even know how you fixed all of it. So I sent Donnie Leah some pictures. Donnie, if you're watching it all, I hope you're healing up well. I don't know if anybody heard, he had a pretty gnarly snowmobile accident and is pretty busted up a few months back. So he's on the mend. So I sent Donnie, some pictures and videos just to kind of give him something to think about, coming into the season. And, I won't repeat what he said, but he seemed very, very happy with the pictures I sent him. It's not exactly appropriate. So he was happy, and a couple other people that have seen it have, Ollie Payne. He drove some of the prototype stuff that we ran at the Euros and at Snowbirds a little bit. And then he saw what I didn't show everybody and what was finished, and he seemed extremely excited for this year. So the couple guys that I've gotten to see it are pretty ecstatic. And like I said, I think the biggest thing is it makes the cars easier to work on, fixes durability issues with dampening system, just kind of consolidates a lot of parts. It should actually be more consistent and a little bit cheaper for us to manufacture. So, just setups, makes setups really cut and dry for set and droop instead of our little set screws for droop and some of that type of stuff. So it just really kind of, kind of sharpens up everything, where everything is kind of muddled and floating around. Now it's all kind of boom, 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 boom.
And is this a new kit that's going to come, or like an upgrade to the current platform?
No, it'll have to be new.
Okay.
I changed too much. So
12 scale or 1/10 scale?
yes.
It's
12 scale?
Everything.
Yeah.
12 scale.
Everything.
I would like to thank the people that have talked way too much shit at the end of the year, who basically made Ken a little angry, and he said, do it all. So thank you.
Okay. I'm excited to see, because that's
yeah. I'll
like,
be honest, I am too, just because I know the shortcomings of our cars in certain conditions. I know even like where my cars were there in Canada, I have a very strong feeling about where this car would be. For example, like if I put it into F1 or into my World GT cars, I would probably lap myself. So
if you would like to send some teasers to the fourth quarter team, we'll keep it private. I promise. Because
Well, we'll have to wait a bit. I'm probably going to get in trouble if Ken actually sees us that I've even mentioned that we're doing it. But yeah, I mean, I think we're close enough now to where. Also, I think some of the guys will see part of the prototypes, like what Ali ran at the Euros. I'm going to bring to the race there at the Bowling Green that they're going to have in 2 weeks, and just let some guys drive it. There's some people that are considering running our cars for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bring the cars, let them kind of get a feel for where we're at, where I'm going. And then I do have, as you guys mentioned it, I do have kind of sort of more of what the production would be, with a bunch of 3D printed metal parts and things that we had done. So I'll have those. I have no idea if they're going to hold up or whatever, but at least we might get to run a few packs, and we'll see what it takes to bend them up and destroy them eventually. So hopefully we don't crash them too much at first, and we can get some laps on them. But I think it'll be enough to kind of communicate to the guys there on what we're doing in the direction, and then I'll probably start working on Ken on release stuff. So the CAD models for those have been done for, I think, about a month at this point. So this was just kind of the final pass through to make sure everything was good, and hit the button on production. So for the most part, everything can be done pretty quick to where we could still meet that August time frame that I wanted. The only problem is just the steel that we use, like on our roll plates or our bottom plates or our chassis. Those sometimes take a while because of the material they're made out of and the heat treat process and that type of stuff to get them as flat as we do. So just depends on how fast they can make those type of a thing. So, but for me, like I said, I'm really, really cautiously optimistic, just because I know the shortcomings of our cars and what we've tried to work on. I really feel like this will kind of bridge the gap and make so many customers so happy, and our team happy, and just everybody that runs our stuff. Just that's. I wanted to try and get another year out of the current car, but I think this will be such a big step. Originally the plan was to have these just as like prototypes to try and do something special for the 12 scale worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that got canceled and it's kind of mushed around and everything like that. And then we ran them at the Euros. Fortunately, at the Euros, it kind of sucked because we would sit down in the mornings. The cars were fantastic. The gymnasium that we're in, where the pickleball courts were, they were really hot, humid, and with the tire sauce that they used and the carpet and everything, it just got really greasy. So we slid around pretty bad. We just didn't bring the right tires and that type of thing. So kind of left us scrambling, trying to find something with the setup that, we ended up putting Morgan's car back to a standard setup and just changing to some hot race tires there, which unfortunately we would have had on our wheels, which I think would have been even better. But our wheels got stuck in customs. So unfortunately, they're done now. We got lots of them. Just didn't have them for the race. They sat there in Italian customs for a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever. So we couldn't get them to the track for the race in time. So, but it is what it is.
Tim Potter says, don't let him drive it. I guess he'll probably destroy it.
Yeah, no, yeah. He usually sends me questions about. I think I might have sent Tim a picture or two, but
Tim, send me a message after.
Yeah,
our secret.
Yeah, so Tim usually. So Tim's another one of the guys that sends me like, "Hey, we bent this or broke this. You seen this before?" It's crap. So no, I haven't seen that. Well, what's at the end of the straight? Oh, concrete wall. Got it. Okay. I'll wait until other people are messaging me.
Yeah.
I forget what race he went to, and he's like, we bent like 4 pair of hubs. What? So, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but
you definitely need to buy one.
I'm really looking forward to this year. I do have to work on some bodies and stuff for this season. That's why I mentioned the touring car body chaos. It's getting really dark. Yeah, I have to work on some touring car bodies. So I was laughing, seeing all that stuff about that Avalon, and supposedly that thing meets GBS rules. But the one thing I will say that I still think needs to be done in all the classes is a real simple tool that should be in tech and racers. You should just put a file up online and you just 3D print a little plate about yay wide with little V blocks. Doesn't have to be very tall, just enough to locate your front tires. And then with a little finger that comes forward and sticks up, it catches where the splitter is on the body. And your body has to be inside of that. If it's over that, go drill some more holes and move your body back. Yeah. If you look at all the problems that we're having with the touring car bodies or even bodies in any of these classes, front downforce equals lap time. So they just keep getting more smushed and more wedged and more raked and more pushed forward. And, the cabs keep, the A-pillars like through the top of the tire almost. Most of these guys cars at like an ETS race. So, the little bit of time I worked at, or not a little bit, I worked a couple of years at General Motors on the C8 Corvette and the V-Series cars. Front downforce is lap time. It's just straight up lap time. The more you can put into it, the more lap time you're gonna take out of it. So, if you were to stop the front overhang, and I seen the spacers those guys were putting in front of the bumper to be able to support that thing. It's freaking ridiculous. So like, all I have to do is make a little 3D printed dealio. You set the car in. If your splitter doesn't bump up against it or it's over the top of it, like, go drill some new holes in your stuff, dude. Like, not happening. I think that would do wonders for the touring car world. The cars would be more drivable, way more stable under braking, way more stable in sweepers and stuff. Everybody's going to complain that they push, but work on your car. Like, take a little front super glue off. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Let's mount a body 25 millimeters too far forward and then super glue up over half the tire.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw today they banned the body.
They did again now, Max?
I saw that they sent an email out to modified drivers saying it's not allowed at the ETS round 2 at the Hobby Arena.
Ooh.
So RC Racing TV posted today that they're not allowing it. I don't know if it's just for mod. I'm not sure. But,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Extreme came out with a body pretty quick though, didn't they?
What's that?
They did.
Extreme came out with a body pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that I don't know if you guys really look at the bodies really close nowadays, but from what I can tell, like pretty much everybody is either 3D printing or they've got them, in CAD to where they're just machining them. They'll just machine them out real quick, and you can bust out a body. From a CAD wise, once you have a base model, you can make tweaks and change it all around. The Extreme didn't go full crazy. They just kind of took what they had and really kind of modified it up. So it's really not that long to do that. I would EA was supposed to send me some body rules to basically see if I could cheat it, but he didn't send them to me, so I'm sure he forgot while he was fishing. Realized he was going fishing when I called him. So so there's ways to kind of clamp down on some of that stuff and at least make them.
Has it gone too far now, Josh, with the touring car bodies? Will it ever come, or no? It's just going to get stupider and stupider, and I think look like an El Camino pretty soon, or whatever, like those truggy bodies. You know what I mean? An off road, where's the limit, or can we just, I don't know, I'm old school? Can we just keep the same, or have it look like a bloody car again, or be a car again, or no? It can't happen.
To me, it's all cyclical. So like, for example, if you go back to protoform LTC days. You got LTC, shorter arm cars, motors rearward, yada, yada, yada. So then they make this other generation of bodies. They're way more aggressive, yada, yada, yada. All of a sudden, motors got to go forward. Well, the bodies turn hard enough that, okay, you slide the motor forward, it takes some of that transfer out. Okay. You start changing the cars, longer arm cars, this and that and the other thing. So everything kind of cycles off of each other. And that's where I think you've seen I think Hagberg did a test not long ago where he ran an old car with a new body or something like that. It really just depends on what the cars are built for around what generation of bodies. And the pace overall isn't that different. It's just a matter of kind of building whatever that's going to offset the balance that you've gotten skewed by a stickier tire or a higher downforce body or whatever. You're just always kind of chasing balance, and the bodies are the let's face it, the most disposable item you can swap off of a car that's going to give you the most free lap time. So it's really an important item. The issue is that I kind of have with it is, again, some of the GBS body rules were built off of bodies, Indy Stratus bodies and stuff like that. So now you're getting these cars that are kind of all sunk down over the wheel wells that look weird, and the roofs aren't coming down to kind of match and keep them in proportion. And this is one of the problems that I kind of had when, and I'll speak about it, whatever. Frank's written me enough nasty letters on him. His 13 scale tires. If you look at an F1 tire, normal size, what was that last year, was 710, centimeters. Well, then they went, 710 millimeters. So then they went, their smaller tire was 705. So even if you go by scale, our tire is 63 or 64 mil. So we're technically still a way smaller tire than a true Formula One car. The touring car tires are also small. So they're technically an 11 scale. So to me, why don't we just go look at, British Touring or DTM or whatever, and you look at their roof heights, and we're actually really high. So that's also why the cars kind of look stupid.
Yeah, that bubble.
Where just the bubble roofs and all that kind of stuff. We almost need to just kind of look at, okay, this is the tire size we run, this is the width we run, we need to recalculate all of these dimensions. You guys have seen our F1 car. I think it looks pretty cool. Mm-hmm. The first thing I got was that thing slammed, that thing's cheater. I literally took the F1 rule book and side profiles of the Mercedes and the Red Bull car. I had them on my screen as I'm drawing it and did grid overlays and put them into CAD. So it's right, the driver's height, the head, helmet position, even to the front tire is correct. Mm-hmm. So that's also why I was really, kind of mad at Frank, is you made a 13 scale tire and we're already too small. The World GT bodies look even stupider because the tires are too small. In every class, we're actually too small on our tires to fit into the proper scale that the class is classified for. So, that's where I kind of think like the GBS rules that they have, or GBS2 or all that, they're still trying to maintain this stupid high roof height that, in my opinion, was incorrect to begin with. So maybe they scaled it from the real cars, but they didn't scale it to the tire size, that we had at the time. So I don't know, that's, I kind of look at all that stuff a little bit different, but I used to be, if you guys go back and look like in the 2003, 4, 5 range, I made some 12 scale bodies that look like real 12 scale LMP cars, not the big side dams. And, they had a wing that was molded in, but the side dams were real short, but the front ends were more rounded like the real cars to balance them out. They drove pretty good. They pushed a little bit. Because I felt that the bodies in 12 scale were getting too out of control. Everybody else said, that's stupid. We just want to go fast. So now as a manufacturer, I just build whatever rules say. If that's what I got to build to, that's what I'll build to. I don't agree with it, just like I don't agree with a $1,000 touring car. But if that's the box that we're in, that's the box that we're in, type of a thing. So, there's a lot of things that I believe that we do in racing that's really dumb, that cost racers a lot of money. Like the oval cars with the big tungsten plates under the left side. All you did was add $180 to every oval car. They're all going to run the same speed still. It's the same guys that were there before we had tungsten, the same guys that are going to be there after we had that. So all you did was just add $180 to every single car for every single racer. Why? Like,
even now with the touring cars, buddy, right?
Why?
They're making them later.
Make it illegal.
You're right. We got a $1,000 touring car, and we're scrounging for $100, $200 in weights to put.
Exactly.
Just make the cars lighter. I don't know. Make the rule lighter. I don't know. Come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, but there's so much of that it just, to me, like, we kind of box ourselves into situations where all we keep doing is adding money to the cars. Okay, we, like even me, the 12 scale car I've worked on. Well, okay, I made it where I thought it was really good for like modified 13.5, 17.5. Well, all my GT12 guys are like, I gotta chop all this stuff out of the car, and I'm using aluminum screws, and I cut the back, like pod brace out and the bottom plate, to get the car light enough for when we run like the gravity GT12 tires. So, okay, we'll run ours. Ours are lighter, but nice as you stuck around Paul. So, so the new 12 scale car I made, it's light. It's like stupid light. So we can move weight around in the chassis and stuff like that. But, we're going to add the cost back with having to, have brass inserts or tungsten stuff or whatever. That's, going to bring some cost back into it. No one said I can't. So, here we are. So, tungsten to me is one of the things that I don't think people realize. Like with the war and everything going on, they actually use tungsten for the missile heads. That's the outer layer of metal. Tungsten's very expensive right now. We should not be allowed to use it in RC. But here we are. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff like that. Some of the body rules I'd like to just totally kind of like revamp, reinvestigate. Some of the stuff like that, just ban tungsten. Why not? Stuff like that would save the racers a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of design around those things, knowing that, you can't do that. Oh my, when you look at a touring car, oh my gosh, where am I going to put weight now if I can't use tungsten? Well, you'll find ways. It's not that hard, so that's, I think, the biggest mistakes that RC makes is that we don't kind of preemptively like adapt the changes or look at what's changing to try and make racing better, but also take cost out of it. You know what I mean? We're just too busy. We're too busy racing and trying to pound the next guy into the ground that we're not thinking of the overall consumerism of the industry and keeping more people racing. So, but I am a car manufacturer, so
It's what it is for you.
It's one of those, like, I can, and that was one of the funny things that I always laughed about with CFAX back in the day. I proposed, like, a lot of the stuff, like, we need to ban the sunk in weights and the tungsten stuff. And they're like, oh, you just don't like it because you can't do it. What? What are you talking about? I can't, like, okay. And, a month later, every single oval car had it. Ours had it. Everybody had it. I'm like, okay. Now all the oval kit prices just went up $150, $200. And then that's trickled into every other class now, where everybody's got all these crazy weights and steel chassis and, yada, yada, yada. So just, I don't know. I miss the days of running TC3s and cheap cars that I should say this much. I miss the days of being able to run where there was so many guys, so many high level guys. Like, there's a chance you didn't make the main. There's a chance you didn't make the B. Like, there was years I won a mod nationals and then was like in the C at Cleveland the next year because I blew out, on rocket round the last rounds, and I had broke the run before, and I was down there, so I kind of miss those days where it was just that level of competition. But you're only going to get that when you can bring the prices down and in my opinion too, a little bit on the speeds. I know a lot of people like going really fast. If guys want to go really fast, just build a damn Pro 10 car. Like, they're a second a lap faster than a 12 scale mod car. Here, go run those. That's kind of my opinion on it. So I think there's always limits to anything. As far as the bodies, I don't know how far they're going to keep pushing them. I'm hoping that they'll kind of wrangle that in a little bit. But at the end of the day,
you think the classes are too fast?
I think for the most part, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the important things. I don't know if you see my old Corrali F1 from like the 90s there. I think I won the carpet nats in like 96 or 7 with that thing on foam tires. I guarantee you my F1 car right now, the one I ran there in Canada, would kill that thing. Not even close. That was 6Ls foam tires. No way. Not even close. Our current Accelerate car would destroy it. So that's going to be one of the fun parts. I actually, drawer right there is full. An old buddy of mine, I don't know if you guys remember Andy Power. He was a racer here from Michigan. I grew up traveling.
Yep.
Yeah, I grew up traveling and racing a lot with Andy. Andy was awesome. I keep trying to drag him back into RC, and he just won't do it. He won't let me get near his arms, to shoot him with some RC crack to get him back to a track. But he actually gave me his old CFX cars from my carpet nats in 07. So I have both his stock 17 or his stock motor car, brush motor car, and his 19-turn car right up above me over here. And then I have in that drawer my associated cars from the 90s. And then in that drawer over there, I have my old Trinity cars with some flat wire motors from Dieter and stuff like that. So that's also part of my thing I'm trying to schedule in here in the shop, is to spend, maybe not a lot of time every day, but like 3-4 hours a week, pulling out the old stuff, sorting it, cleaning it up, getting stuff into a pile. All right, what part, am I missing some purple screws, or am I missing this or that? So I can build some of these old cars, so I could take to the track with our current stuff and then sit down and go, all right, you guys insist that these aren't that much faster. Here's my 12 scale mod car from, 1997, and you can actually order sub-C batteries on Amazon. There's I forget the name of the company, but there's like all different milliamp hours. And so I'll just try and order what's like time appropriate, for milliamp, build the associated 12 scale car, build my Trinity one with a flat wire, build Andy's up there from that with some Orion motors and that. And then, we'll laugh as a 17.5 car puts like 3 laps on that stuff, and as I'll have to drive it as we did in the old school days where we rolled around and floated them, and I'll probably still dump because, I haven't done it in 20 years type of a thing. So I think that'll be really eye opening when people realize, you know, a 12 scale mod car won't even keep up with a 17.5 car nowadays. So, and Dieter's actually got a bunch of old TRC foam tires at the shop there. I have some old Jaycos, you know, like the old wraps. Remember those?
Yeah, I remember
I still
those
have
guys.
sets
You
of
still
those
have
laying
some?
around here. So I mean, I have enough stuff where I can kind of put them back age appropriate. You know, we're just going to have to cheat it a little bit with a whole lot of front tire super glue to make those cars get around the track. But you know, I think it'll be really interesting and really eye opening about, you know, how much slower they really are. I think I do have my TC3 that I won like snowbirds with is in there too. Obviously the street weapon, but I'm not running that thing. That's gonna sit there. That's shelf only. So.
Yeah, I saw an old video. I think it was from Champs, maybe, and it was like the modified. It looks like 25 5-speed nowadays.
Yeah.
I was like, that's modified? Like, that's easy peasy, you know? Like,
yeah. Well, the problem wasn't driving them or getting around the track. The problem was going that speed and not dumping. There was a big driving style discrepancy. I mean, that's one of the things that I think I was actually one of the few guys that was probably a little bit, to be honest, a little bit more of an animal back in the days, where as the speeds of the cars increased, I was still able to be kind of competitive. I think a lot of the other guys that were extremely efficient drivers, they struggled as the batteries got bigger and you could run them harder and put more motor in them. I think a lot of those guys just struggled with that because they'd grown up and spent so much time kind of perfecting that, you know, driving smooth and making runtime things. So I think that's where also we lost a bunch of the good modified US guys, is they just, you know, they just didn't quite adapt to that. Just, you know, put a bunch of drag brake in it and run the hell out of it type of thing. I ran enough A-scale nitro where I don't think, you know, that affected me as much because we pretty much did that with the A-scale cars. So
you mentioned his name. Obviously you have Ollie driving for you guys. You had Donnie, you know, come, which I think was a
Cleveland.
big
Right?
surprise, I think,
Yeah.
when we, you know, I woke up and I saw him pitting with you guys. I was like, you know,
yeah,
I didn't see no formal post, right?
I didn't think I felt when I had the text from him and he's holding the car and he's like, "Hey, what do I do to this thing?"
How'd that come apart? Like, what was the initial conversation to get Donnie on your team?
Nothing really. Like, I didn't have a conversation with him. I think it was just one of those things to where I think he had been at Osmatics for a very long time, and I think he was more looking for, you know, just something different, to try something different. And this, you know, I think he's, you know, as we talked about earlier in the show, the typical track owner, you know, was kind of a little bit burned out and trying to find a way to kind of kickstart some interest and you know, maybe a new challenge type of a thing. You know, so I was super surprised. I mean, I know Ollie ran my car after NYGP and was shocked at how good it was. And, you know, admittedly, I had spilled SXT on my hands, which I've kind of found out there's something in that I'm extremely allergic to. So like by the mains, like when I was done driving, like there's blood on the rail. I would carry my hands like kind of plasticize from it and they'll crack and split and bleed really bad.
Damn.
I don't know why. I'm guessing it's from the 3D printing resin experience I had a long time ago. I made a YouTube video and my hands destroyed from it. And ever since then, like any chemicals I get on them just kind of ruins my skin and my hands. You know, so I drove terrible, but I let Ollie drive my stuff and he was a rocket ship. And then Morgan drove my 13.5 car, changed body because I had a heavy body on my car, admittedly. Also, I was pretty lazy. And so Morgan, you know, they changed bodies on them and they went and ran. And Morgan beat Ollie's 13.5 time, which was really fast, which I think really shocked, you know, Donnie and everybody that was still there running. So I think that kind of set the seed, and some of the guys then kind of realized, oh, wait a minute, you know, these cars are actually decent. And, you know, so Ollie switched, then he ran the Masters of Foam. He was going back and forth, and he ended up running my car in modified that he took home. And then a few weeks later, I had some guys message me asking me to build cars for them, asking me, build a car just like Ollie's. And a little while later, I got a message from Donnie letting me know that was actually for him to try, and he ran the shit out of it, and he wanted to switch. So there was no like, hey, come run my stuff type of thing. That's the one thing I've been kind of respectful with on some of the stuff. Like, there's some of the guys that I've seen kind of go backwards with some of the stuff they're running. So I've made comments, just putting it out there, like, hey, if you want to run stuff, let me know. Or you want to, actually, I haven't even offered any deals. It's been more of you want to just drive one, type of a thing. Just drive it and tell me what you think. Because really, my team's been pretty small, and it's especially on a modified level, it's just been me. And like I said, I know I'm nowhere near where I was. So for me, it was just a curious thing to get feedback. So it just ended up being that he drove it. It ran decent for him there, and he wanted to give it a go. So he did that race, and then he got really into his. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think the car switch really got him back overly, like interested in racing. He was heavy into snowmobiles and snowmobile racing stuff that he was doing. And then he wound up getting hurt. So, so just hoping that he's healing up well. And I know he was pretty busted up. So, but I did send him pictures of the new stuff for this year. So I'm really hoping that we can get him back out at some races and running. And, to be honest, like, Cleveland was a big learning experience for me. Donnie has always been either with Speed Merchant and then, Osmatics that I've been around. So I never really got to work with him much. So it was a very, very big learning curve. It was very interesting how, like, deep in thought and intense he is at the track. And then you like wander over to the bar and have a beverage, and it's like a totally different person. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, like I get it now. Like, okay, now I understand. So, so just trying to, every high level guy you deal with has got a particular way that they talk about things, and that, and the other thing is just always pushing for more. So it's really hard, especially when it's a new car, to kind of, I think like a few of the runs we had Donnie stuff were really good, where I think he could have potentially challenged for a 13.5 win. We're just down, I think, a little bit on power at that time. But then there was other runs where the car wasn't good enough when we actually had some more power in it. And then it modified the same thing. Like, we got the car pretty good. And I think he was pretty close to TQ like the first or second round. And I think he dumped the last lap or something. So he kind of changed some power stuff around, and, things just kind of got lost a little bit. We got the car really, really good Sunday morning before the finals. And we pasted 2 more battery packs and screwed it up and tried to put it back and just missed. It was just, even in A2, I think he led the race for quite a while. And then he got shuffled back. I think Egberg got him, and then Kemp got him right at the end. And the car just went push over the course of the run. So we just kind of ran out of time to get him comfortable, and then like get it good and leave it, not continue chasing. But for the first race with the stuff, I was pretty happy with with his pace and his level of competitiveness. But of course he wasn't. It's Donnie. He wants to win and put hot lap and DQ and that. So so in that respect we failed. But overall I was pretty happy, and I was even happy with Ollie's finishes at the Euros. We didn't win. Ollie wanted to win. Ollie wanted to win snowbirds and modified. He should have. I think he was about 2 seconds up when he had a crash there, like a minute and a half to go. But I also know, like, brand wise and race wise, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some on stuff like that. And, I do feel there's a bit of RC karma and paying dues, as being a new brand and kind of working our way up there. So it's just really nice to see like high level guys like that, actually choose to run our stuff. It wasn't like, I know there was some rumors that we wandered around chasing Ollie with a bucket of money, which is absolutely hilarious. That's not the case at all. So, but it's been awesome to be able to work with those guys and things, and to be honest, even for me, it's actually been really good because there's a lot of things I write off that I'm just old and I'm missing or it doesn't feel right just because it's me. And they're like, it does this or this. Well, yeah, I've been trying to figure out what to fix that. What do you think? Well, I don't know. What were you doing? So I'd go through what I did and they'd run it. And yeah, that's better, but it's still not it. I'm like, I know. Why? So what do we do? I don't know.
I don't know.
So that's kind of what also led to the direction with some of the stuff. Was just trying to fix some of the holes that, again, we may not notice in 17.5 or F1 or World GT, but 13.5 12 scale modified. I think they're pretty massive improvements, and especially on rough tracks, I think what we have now will be massive improvement, which is why I said the improvement so much there at the Canadian Nats with it kind of being on the weird floor there. So
I can't wait for you to send us pictures of it. Can't wait to see.
I love the character.
Well, it's been a fantastic hour and a half. I know you're busy. It's getting light there. I have two more questions I'll ask together.
No, go ahead.
Because we've been talking about the passive accelerant, kind of the current stage, but like a little bit of the future in parts. But like for accelerant and yourself, what's the biggest goal in the next few years that you see, and where would you like to see accelerant in the next 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, etc.?
To be honest, I don't know, because like I never, for example, like when I started the drag tire stuff, which is how all kind of led into this, I was just trying to help a friend out. And then it kind of snowballed in what that was, and fighting with tires blowing up, and then we fixed it, and now we got really good stuff. And but I had gotten burnt out on coming home from work and packaging orders and doing all that kind of stuff, and basically kind of doing like I'm doing it now. But the difference is now is I'm doing the things that I really truly enjoy. So I get to sit, I get to draw, I get to talk to some racers, go to some tracks, but most of my day is sitting right here, So, I get to spend a lot of time drawing and making stuff, and just kind of pushing and seeing what's possible. Brand wise, I know that that Ken currently, I'm here just outside of Detroit. Ken, he's over in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And he's actually going to, I think around next summer, maybe late summer or whatever, he's actually bought property in Florida. So Excelerate will be packing up when he retires from the police force and moving down to Florida. So I know he's bought property, talking about building a building, talking about building something big enough for the test track. So I haven't talked to him much on that. Just we've been busy with our own kind of directions of project, what he's working on there, and then everything I've been trying to do here. So we haven't sat down and discussed, where he's at on any of that. But I think that's one of the main plans for Accelerate, is to get down there. So I've tried not to, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't been in a hurry to do the. People have asked me if we're going to do off-road cars or dirt oval cars or touring car, et cetera, et cetera. So I haven't wanted to like inundate him with stuff like that when we know there's going to be a move coming, and those are kind of bigger projects to take on. Now smaller stuff, continuing our tire development. More tires, more different categories of stuff. We released our off-road tires, our slick off-road tires. We'll probably work on some carpet off-road stuff here next. That's why I've been running a bunch of carpet off-road, just trying to learn, figure out where I'm at, and what I like and don't like. I don't know if people know, we got a lot of vac formers at the shop. Ken does a lot of vacuum forming work. So that's one of the big things now for me, that the cars are done for next season. Like I said, some parts of the low-C off-road stuff, but a lot of bodies. There's going to be a very heavy printing focus on that for body mold designs and that type of thing for all the categories. So off-road, on-road, and, oval, everything. So that's really going to take up a lot of my time here for the next few months. That'll hopefully put us in a good spot for him to do his move, get set up down there. And in the meantime, I'll probably start some development on other stuff. Looking further down the future, obviously just keep growing the brand. Trying to improve our value to the customer and our race team, and just continue to improve across the board. If we can win some more races, that would be awesome. If we can get Ollie and Donnie and those guys some wins up in the modified classes, that would be outstanding. Like always, I was kind of snake bit type of thing at winning the worlds. Had a couple seconds and thirds, and a lot of time out leading world's A finals that slipped away from me. So I would love to get one of those guys one, just to kind of maybe make up for that. But I think it might be even more fun to do it as a manufacturer and designer of the brand. So that would be awesome. But for right now, it's just no major, like line in the sand goal. This is what we want to do. No sales numbers, anything like that. We've hit a few sales targets where it's like, we just did that. That's not bad for a little brand I started in my basement with a $500 3D printer, So, so it's just, just kind of been enjoying the journey, and of course, the more that we can do with it, and the more it can grow, and the less I have to do other work, then for right now, I'm not quitting the other 3 day jobs, basically, of side work and everything else I do, So that's just kind of it's kind of continued on, and it's just going to continue as it's been, and just keep progressing, hopefully. So.
And for people that don't know, when you refer to Kenny, that Kenny's your business partner with the Excelerate brand.
Yeah.
So people don't know. And he does all the shipping.
Yeah, he does Drag Race Concepts and the RC Pro Zone site, and then also Excelerate RC. So, I'm the goofball that draws everything on my Etch-a-Sketch over here, and I send it to him, and he makes it, and he is usually who I send everybody to, and they're like, "Hey, where's my order?" I don't know. Ask Ken. Email. But I don't have. I think that's the one thing people forget is I don't have any inventory here. I have my racing stuff, and a lot of times there's a lot of stuff that comes out on the website, and other people have, and they'll ask me questions about. And I'm like, "Oh, cool, we got those in." Like all the steel sockets and cups and some of that stuff. I'm like, I messaged him. I'm like, because I got some of the samples I took to the Euros. And I'm like, hey, well, please tell me when we're doing these, like, we got laser etching on them. Like, none of mine have laser etching. Like, I can't tell anyone apart. At least the plastic ones, there's kind of some dimples and some mold lines. I can tell the difference in them. Yeah, no, nothing. And he's like, and he sends me a picture. He's like, oh, they're already laser etched, and you can like see them in the package. They were already in bags that he was shipping out. I'm like, oh, cool, all right.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Like, please tell me they didn't forget that, because these are impossible to tell the difference in them. They're all so close. So So a lot of times I don't even think. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I don't even have that we have. So just one thing though, I know we have coming. We did do a new mold for our F1 wheels. So the rears will fit on the hexas a little bit freer. The front bearing fit is fixed. And I think we're also going to do those in white. So we'll have both white and black. So I know people have been complaining, your bearing fit sucks. Yeah, well, it takes a minute to go through the amount of wheels that we ordered. So we actually, instead of just trying to rework that mold, we actually did a new mold. Just again, to just fix a bunch of stuff and actually, in my opinion, make the wheels out of a better plastic. We actually switched suppliers. So I wasn't happy with the consistency of some of the plastics, so we've been working on transitioning a lot of our molds and plastics over. So you'll also see like our yellow 12 scale wheels are gone. We'll have the black wheels for the spec wheels. They're still a firmer wheel, and then we have a gray wheel that's a softer wheel for that. All the like the open tire compounds will be on the 13.5 and modified. So those are really nice. The fronts are way truer. The front bearings are maybe even a little snug, but I like them because there's like zero play in them, and everything's pretty precise. So yeah, just like I said, step by step, just trying to improve every single thing that we do.
Yeah,
so
it's huge.
Yeah.
Mark, did you have a thought there? I saw your.
No, I was going to say something stupid, and I behaved myself.
Don't see.
Fire away.
It was no. No, but
I don't mind.
On my own part, Josh, thanks for coming to the Canadian Nats. Thanks for sponsoring the Canadian Nats. Hope to see you at every one in both ways.
Yeah.
But it was appreciated by the team to see you. And to sponsor the event and what you do for the hobby. Pretty cool.
No problem. I mean, I love coming up there by you guys. I had a blast. I wish I would have there a little earlier. It was a little bit, crazy coming in as late as I was. It makes it a little bit difficult to, it's hard for me to come into a race like that because my focus nowadays is I don't really care about my racing. I got to run a little bit.
Yeah, and I apologize. I apologize. It was me that got you in trouble, and you told me not to do it, and I did it. We won't even talk about what it was, but yes, and you got scolded. And
right.
Well, it was me that created it all. I thought I was doing the smart thing, but as a race director,
in the end, I don't think it mattered. If anything,
but just to see,
I didn't peel anyone in World GT. I got peeled and probably messed up somebody else's race because I hit him so hard. I think I broke the car in F1. If I would have been in the A sort, would that have happened? No. Would it have changed anything at the end? No. So I
know, but it was my doing, and I apologize. I'll apologize.
I know, but don't worry about it. But at the same time, but at the same time, I look at it as, again, right now, everybody. I think, as I was saying earlier, that scrambler, that fight for that piece of the pie. That's one thing that I've really been thankful to Ken for teaching me. And this again goes back to the track and the track fees and everything. Just in business, it's pretty simple. You do a good job, you stay in business. You don't work hard enough, or you let stuff slack, you let somebody else, step into the door to take your business away. Yeah, somebody's going to do it. Eventually, you may carry it for a while, but I mean that's to be honest, I think one of the reasons why I've had pretty good success over my RC career when I was racing is because I always kind of had the mentality that I sucked, So if Spashit was here, I'd be half a lap down. If Kalari was here, I'd be a lap down. If Masami was here, I would be half a lap down. So I had that kind of mentality. And then when I did race those guys, I just put 3 seconds on them, huh? They must be having a bad weekend, So I always kind of raced with that in mind, and that's kind of the way I try to treat the business stuff. I always have to improve, and we always have to improve. And I think there's kind of an old guard in RC that they've been able to kind of, run the roost on everything for a long time. And when stuff's not going their way, they change rules and they change whatever. And, they should know by now with somebody like me, I don't give a shit. Just work. Let's make rules. Let's make it fair. And whoever outworks who's going to win. So, so that's actually one of the reasons why I actually was so exhausted from everything I was doing in the work at home, and that I made sure to get in the car and come to the race. I wasn't not going to come because of that, because I knew some of the stuff that you guys got put through, and I wanted to make sure to be there to support the event. I really didn't think it was fair, and I didn't think it was very professional. So in that regard, if that professionalism is going to be thrown out the window all because of winning some races, okay, we'll step it. We'll be there. We'll help. we'll make sure that you guys have what you need. And, support the community.
And you being there, you also
it's not
being there.
about one manufacturer. It's about the whole industry and a lot of racers, and like, kind of get over yourself. Like it's a big community. We've all known each other for a long time. You can't be a jerk when things are bad and then when everything's good. Like it's too small. It's still, too small. It's too big, but too small of a community. You know what I mean? Like we all know each other. We've all had a frosty beverage together at some point, and had some laughs. So it's just not worth it to me. So, and that's why I made sure,
Well, I just like how you've seen that
80 hours that week, and I got in the car and made sure to get there to Canada.
And it was on. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, and I think the payoff for yourself was you realized that at the Canadian Nats is more of the hobbyists or guys have to buy their products.
Yeah.
And you being there and talking with these guys, I really believe a lot of people enjoyed talking to you. And more guys bought your car, wanted F1s after you were running, or wanted a World GTR. And I think you did a great job at that. And that's what pays off in this hobby is being that type of person. And they couldn't believe how approachable you were and how you right. And some guys left that track, not even running your car, and said, "Oh, I talked to John. Mark, I'm going to buy one of his car next." Right in the fall, I'm buying one of his.
And I appreciate that, but that's also one of the things I know from my days as a pro, and it's something that really kind of hit me over the years after my dad passed, is like he did a really good job of kind of sheltering me from everyone. He was always at the races with me and whatever, but like if somebody come over and asked a question, hey, check it out and whatever, and you'd be like, hey, you want a hot dog? You'd be like, set the car down. Hey, his car's doing this, and this. Look at it and fix it for him. We'll be right back. And I knew what he was always doing. He would always run interference for me. Mm-hmm. So that way I could pick it up, look at it, fix it in 2-3 minutes, set it aside and go, you're dialed. Yeah. And, he'd shoot the shit and whatever. And I kind of realized when I came back after he passed, like, to be the person that I had to, or that I was or had to be to race at that level, I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't like that person. I didn't like being that. And so that was one of the things, like, now coming to the races, I would rather not race. I would rather hang out and, getting a little chunky here, go get a hot dog, go get a booster juice up there, and shoot the shit and hang out and, help people with their cars and stuff. That to me now is a lot more fun, because I can't race the way I used to. Number one, because I'm getting old, but number two, because like trying to have that level of focus anymore, and just like, to be honest, selfishness is really, really difficult. Mm-hmm. And because, if you see the scene, we've shrunk, we've lost racers over the years.
Oh, hell yeah.
So at that point, like, does it really matter anymore for me to win another race? No. Does it really matter to have some guys that have, never won a race, or, at least a race of that capacity, make the main for the first time or run up there, like Patty or like some of the other guys, So that's where I catch myself sometimes, and I have to kind of recalibrate also, like, yeah, my stuff is not important anymore. Like, I need to, besides the brand and the company, just from, what I feel I should be doing as as a whatever, enjoyer of the hobby type of thing, and with the experience in that, I should just be there to be able to help everyone, so everybody's experience is better at the track. So that's that. I tell everybody that, whoever messages me on Facebook, like, hey, send me a message. Like, don't definitely don't shy away from it. Or if you see me at a track, come ask me a question. Like, I'll gladly help. Like, mm-hmm. I got no problem with that. So, so that's, and I love you guys' race for that. To me, it's a lot of fun. It's laid back enough to where I can really enjoy it and still help everybody and do all that. I can run a little bit and it's good. Some of the other races are definitely a little bit more hectic. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a prime example, like the vintage race. Yes, exactly. The vintage race that we went to, seeing all the old guys and hanging out, dude, that was the most fun I've had at an RC track. It was kind of a tragedy that Dunbar had passed.
Mhm.
So it was a shame he didn't get to be a part of that whole event that he really helped put together. But like seeing all those old guys and hanging out and all that, it was a blast. I went back to that track a few months later for the regionals. Still pretty fun. We went there for the nationals with all the young kids, the psychos, the off-road maniacs, the top of the food chain guys. Holy shit, was that I wanted to kill half of those guys because we're out there in open practice and they're just like wide open, just mowing cars down and guys flying off the track. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? But they're off-road cars, you can smash into stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a couple times I come through this like step down thing and I'm just end over end off, 30 foot off the track. I'm like, what are these guys doing? I live, just two other guys are in front of me. And, so it's definitely different atmospheres depending on the level of racers you deal with. And to me, you guys' race is an awesome mix of, some high level guys that can go out and kill each other. I was very happy I did not run 12 scale modified watching those guys animal on each other out there. But, but otherwise, to me, it's still one of my favorite races of the year. I would go to you guys' race 100 times over versus.
Well, keep April 1st open.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay. No problem. No April Fools intended, huh?
No. That's when it's going to start on Thursday, but you'll see soon. You won't want to miss it.
Awesome.
Definitely won't want to miss this year.
Yeah.
No, I'll be there. I have, like I said, there's a few races that I'll always be at now, and you guys definitely is one of them.
Thank you.
So.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, there's certain races I like going to. I like going to you guys' race. I like going to some of the races there at Hoosier. I enjoy the track. I enjoy the shop and the people there. The Henleys are pretty awesome. Dieter's track is always fun to go to. They don't usually really have anything big, but I enjoy going there. Just, obviously raced with Jim in that a long time. So,
yeah.
And then, there's a few races I don't care to go to, but I have to. So I will admit, I normally, I was pissed that Ken wanted me to go to Snowbirds this year, but seeing that they had actually done some things to try and improve the race, there's a different group of guys running it, and that it was a much better experience than I had the last few times I'd been there. So it seems like they're making a solid effort to actually care about the racers and take care of the event. So that was very nice to see. Previously, though, that was an event I never wanted to go back to again. So I'm glad to see that some other guys are stepping up to try and fix it. So
cool.
It's awesome. Well, Josh, it's been, again, I would say it every show, it's like a circuit, the fastest 2 hours of my life. I wish work went this quick. But it's been a pleasure. We talked a lot. I mean, we still have 1,000 things to talk about, so we'll have to get you on again. Far ways away. But it's been a pleasure, man. You shared a lot of insight.
We can do that in a few months when all the new stuff's out.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get you back on.
Ask me questions.
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Josh.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you much for coming on, man, and spending your time.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Turn those lights on and get home safely.
What are you talking about, man? I don't need the lights. I know exactly where. This is normal right now. I sit in the dark. That's what our CAD guys are called mushrooms. Just sit and grow in the dark, grow CAD models in the dark.
That's how I roll. You're a machine. But get home safely from the shop, sir. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Yeah, bye.
Well, another quick show went by quickly.
Another 2 hours.
Wow, it's crazy.
Doesn't matter.
And I prepared notes every show, and I think I went through like 4 out of my 40 points. You know what I mean? Because there's just so much good stuff these guys have, and one of the reasons why we started this to get that information out. So
yes, sir.
We have lots to talk about. But tomorrow we have another show. We got 8-track owners coming on to discuss that part. We got a Power HD giveaway we're going to give out soon. We got 2 shows next week again. jam-packed, full-time job.
It's gonna start to be, bro.
Full-time job, but it's for the love of the game. So I hope everyone enjoys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the guys commenting and liking all of our stuff on Facebook and sharing everything. It's a real honor and makes all the hard work pay off. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We'll be back live Facebook tomorrow.
Thank you, Maxie.
No problem. Showtime. Talk to you, boys.
Ciao.
Talk to you.